It's day 370 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor our upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. I very greatly appreciate it. Today we're doing Siman Reish Nun Daled, Sif Tez Zayin, Siman Reish Nun Hey, Sif Beis. Can't wait to get to Turbos. Tez Zayin. Pashu, the Bekira Gufo K'duma, if you have a kira which is swept or banked, put bread right into before nightfall into it. Low grade metav is no different than a cooked dish. So in our ovens, the dina kira, which has status kira, in gorfa kadmo, if it is swept or banked, you can put bread in it right before nightfall. Also, but to remove the bread is forbidden imlo kederech shenizborg shetzorich l'Shabbos, except in one of the ways which we explained when you need for Shabbos, by any Yehudi or by a non-Jew. But that's really, I'm not sure that's the case anymore with our ovens, where it's not adhering to the side of the oven. So I think in our ovens today it would be permissible to remove it outright. Vugamine batzek, and a cake or a type of dough, which is cooked in a pot. Gankidin kapas also halachas like bread. As long as they don't have a filling of meat, eggs, or fruit. Because then they're like any other pot being cooked. Those filled pastries, that's some of they're not a pot. He says a pan is not a pot. So everything we're talking about is in an oven which is not a sealed shut with pitch. And we talk about if it's sealed, it's permissible no matter what. Again, it's no different than a cooked dish. You're not baking for Shabbos, so Motzoi Shabbos. We're going to leave it there for 24 hours. The Ishmael that falls is trying to bake it. It's also permissible. In this case, we're not concerned that you might come to wake the coals. Why would you wake the coals for Motzoi Shabbos? And of course, we allowed this when you did Hashor for the next day. We allowed this the next day in the previous simon, he said. Yes, in the previous simon he had said that with food and a tavshil, which a cooked dish which you're going to leave for tomorrow, when there was no issue of shem yechateh. But here it seems to be not that way. He says, so just leaving in the oven for tomorrow, no, because we're afraid you're going to eat the bread at night. By a cooked dish, there's no such issue. It's not suitable to eat at night. Has to be cooked very much so. As opposed to bread. Okay, so maybe you'll say, okay, even if he eats it for Motzoi Shabbos, maybe he'll come to be mechat in the meantime. We can say that also does b'Shabbos. Now we're allowed to remove it on Shabbos. But when you do have mine for tomorrow, for sure it's going to remove it somehow. Like they either by not doing no way or by a non-Jew. In fact, there are those who say that therefore in our ovens where there is no such absolute prohibition on redia because it's in a pan and such like, and it's on the rack, not adhering to anything. Also, Motzoi Shabbos. So that's even I might to make Motzoi Shabbos. The time's there. Shemati b'layla, because maybe you're going to take it out that night. You're going to change your mind. But you're going to come to make the coals. The Arukh disagrees with those who are machmir that way. The Atu b'Shalon or Adiyah het the Gomer. He says, do you think in our case removing from the oven is completely permissible? I'm not sure exactly what that means. In our day and age, it would still apply. Mr. Bull writes in the Magen Avraham, who's makel in removing bread from our ovens. According to him, we are in fact concerned they might change your mind and eat the bread tonight and therefore wake the coals, which I think is much more relevant to our ovens today. Maybe like Mana also Motzarech Motzei Shabbos. Maybe that's correctly Motzei Shabbos. Hi, now I have to like Mana for the purpose of Motzei Shabbos. Moshe Kotzim Reish Nun Zayin. Yeshua this time more Gufa Chidushu. The prohibition about the Mana is a tremendous Chidush in itself because there's no heat source. So we're not going to add to that to Aser this case, which is not really Hakmona because it's not insulated. So we wouldn't Aser for Motzei Shabbos. It means it's down in the place for Shabbos. Yutzai. And when you wrote yesterday, the Inkle Ben Tanush Shalohem, that there's nothing between our ovens and their ovens. Zerk Shanasam Beiter Issa. That if you put it, that's if you put it in a prohibited way. But if you did it in a permitted way, you could go a Bekirum Ponim Mibod Yom, such as where the crust formed from before Shabbos. Again, Yesh Efresh. There's a distinction. Much Kasar Ben B'Sir Sim Sign. B'Salo Shana. It says Tanur Shanono Shem Ben Ridia. In our ovens where there is no Ridia, Mutter says there's no such thing as the skilled labor of moving the bread. Mutter Tziyasim Shosh Sus B'Sakin. You have to move more than 3 meals worth with a knife or B'Shum Davar Shetachabo or anything else which you I guess with which you're going to plunge into the bread to take it out. And he says in brackets, Kosh can be other. Again, this seems that it's not really like a Ridia. So I guess, a commercial oven would be this way, not in a or pizza oven would be similar, not in our home oven. Yeah, that's probably the case. A pizza oven would be like that. Because that's much more like theirs, and that's the follows what it says here. You shouldn't take it out with that paddle. The pizza oven or a matzah oven shouldn't mess it because it looks like you're doing weekday work. And quote from the Beis Yosef. The Shabur writes on this. No, he doesn't write anything. Okay, it's like we put it in a permissive way. And it's like a cake on top of kozol, which is not forbidden to eat this pas. The gamzel dafka kshosel b'Shabbos, specifically when you eat on Shabbos. So it's mutter feel yes mishaloshos. It's mutter even more than 3 meals. I would dose tzorachol, but to remove the bread for the purpose of a weekday. Nah. Harei tiltu ba'alma also tzorachol. Now let's carry things for the purpose of a weekday. Which cuts about gos ma'amanias. Like gos ma'amanias, right? Those will be behind b'Shabbos with tzorach motzei Shabbos. You don't have to bring wine on Shabbos for the purpose of motzei Shabbos, even though it's hector gomer. Behind Simon Shin Chav Gimel, Kran's bar, the rocket positive shows Sulas Tavshin. It's only permissible 3 meals by bread and not by cooked dishes. But if he has nothing to eat besides these cooked dishes, Pshita the Shari. It's obviously permitted even to take the Tavshilin out. I'm not sure what it's referring to because it says here Sift as well, but that's about Ridia. But you see, let's see this again. Acquires by the racket, but passing two shows with Tavshilin, Umiu, Im Eno Ma Yochal Zulas Tavshilim, Shita the Shari, I guess to take out more than necessary for that meal. The law also is on the Shabbos, now to fast on Shabbos. That shows so you can't not pass echad shesh b'shir shows sudos. What about if you took since I think out 3 meals? What if you took 1 large loaf, which is enough for 3 meals? Yesh mishal mesh osli toyos those, so you can't take more. Avagav shlo yelo lechem mishneh. Even though as you won't have lechem mishneh, begam pas sholim yelo because you certainly won't have a sholim for every meal. Come aser. If it's forbidden to say enochol b'kokach, it's not such a obligation to have lechem mishneh or every or a sholim. Yesh Gam said that people are not so sure about that. Mr. Bull writes that if you have in 1 loaf 3 meals worth, you're talking not allowed to move anything else in the oven. Even though he doesn't have for each meal a sholem and lechem mishnah. By the way, for the first meal maybe you want a sholem, but afterwards you can break apart pieces in order to make lechem mishnah. Anyway, if we explain, the bread's going to ruin Motzei Shabbos. If you leave it then into Motzei Shabbos, you'll have a loss. You'll have to take out all the bread for our ovens. Our ovens and their ovens. place where there's going to be a loss. You can even move from our ovens, which the Bur argues does not make them by our ovens. Again, I don't think these are ovens which we have today. Again, they're commercial ovens, pizza ovens, not our home ovens. Back to it's best to do it through a non-Jew. So you put bread inside an oven on Shabbos. Ben Shas Shoygek, whether you did it inadvertently, which you forgot, Shabbos Hayom. You can remember Shabbos. This can be out immediately. Ben Shas Mason, whether you did it deliberately, mutually does some miyad. You're allowed to move it immediately. Before the bread starts forming a crust. In order to not come to total prohibition. Technically a chatas won't be chayiv. The kol chatos and I should take himself from shkoga. You only chatas from beginning to end of the ma'aser which is mechayiv you the chatos. You were shogeg. In this country, remember the middle. Nevertheless, a component has to malacha. He's going to do malacha b'shoigeg inadvertently, and that's not good. But I've got dias pas ushvus. With dias pas is a rabbinic prohibition, at least rabbinically frowned upon. Become frappy and bang, especially during their days. Where moving the bread looked a little bit like a malacha, at least. Where the bread was clinging to the walls. It is better for him to transgress the light the rabbanon than transgress a malacha of baking. I'm amazing. Also, we did deliberately. For you to tell Hotzi, even though if we're the ones forbidding him to take it out, and despite the fact he wants to take it out, it won't be chayav skila. Since we're the ones who are not letting him. Because obviously, if you become chayav skila, he's not going to listen to us. Allow him to himself. They shouldn't do amalacha, even though he was amazing. There's a little bit of brackets here, but we're going to skip it. You test. Obviously, if you take it out through you have to do this. Specifically, also him, or they and the Yudi are non-Jew. But say what I told you, so it's best to do a non-Jew, so sorry they ask to do it himself. In F Shalom, if it's possible, Shachim to any Yudi, that by the time he finds non-Jew, his Rakim will not yet have started forming a crust. I was also Lola Hotzi. Another Jew can't take it out for him. The Kem Shish B'Dias Pashvus, since by Dias Apas there is a rabbinic prohibition, removing the bread, and we don't say to Ruvain, sin a light sin, to save Shimon from a heavier sin. Came in Shalom, now say so you don't. Since the prohibition did not come about through you. The other guy was amazing that he put it in. And even if he did it with Shoygeg, it's still negligent. But you can tell you with time Mashiach, and the primary reason you shouldn't assist him in this is because he was negligent, even if it's B'Shogeg. By the way, there's a very fundamental ritva there in Shabbos, and that's the Sugya, who says, Ein omrim lo adam chateu sheyaz yizkar chavercha. It's like halacha ve'morke. We don't tell you to take off that bread to save your friend, but if you come to do it on your own, the ritva says you should go ahead and do it. I don't know if we pass that on the Maisa, but Kedai Ritva Smochlav, were there such a case, would perhaps to arise. Chav, tiny, a woman should have full of these legumes. Put him in the oven Erev Shabbos right before nightfall. If she did put him in, Motzei Shabbos assume Shabbos till the amount of time would take to make them then. A person should not, a baker should not fill a jug of water, put in the oven Erev Shabbos, right before nightfall. He also came, if he did so, Motzei Shabbos assume Shabbos. So Shabbos also until such time as you can prepare it then. But time Shemi Chate Begechol. The reason is because you might come to make the call. Perish Rashi, Mibnei Shein Tzrichim Bishul, because they need Zman, they need a lot of cooking for a long time. And day and night is not sufficient. Then there's a large the These tumusim, which we know translate as lupins, the day and night is night and day are not sufficient for them. Chavis mayim, that's for the lupins. Chavis mayim, in terms of the jug water, higher time. This is the reason. Put on low fire. Be a chush. And he's going to be afraid that's going to come cold. So come to rake the coals. Rama writes the opposite. All these, even though they're not cooked at all before Shabbos, they're like a cooked dish is not fully cooked. Because they don't need so much cooking. They might eat immediately. That's why you can't leave them in the oven. So they need less cooking. If you did leave in the oven, assume Motzei Shabbos, you have to get Shiatsu, also to Motzei Shabbos, amount of time it take to make them. For the kilo kupach, it's true also about the double oven and the cubicle oven. If they're not swept and banged, you can rake the coals. And by the cubicle oven, moving the coals doesn't work. When you used olive dregs and wood, and as we also said, by twigs, straw and twigs, you don't need to sweep out the coals. But only by double oven, which was stoked with olive dregs and wood. It's the sweeping out is suffices. Now water, even though you can drink it raw, right? It's not like fruit. The raw water, uncooked water is not as good as cooked water. Or maybe you're heating up this water for cooking, for washing dishes. We need specifically hot water. So therefore, all types of water you have to leave over from the day time. In other words, they need time to cook before Shabbos begins. Talking the Peirush Rambam, Shabbos, it seems difficult. It says the shai turmus, the shakal shevazim. It says the turmus, the lupins, got to be cooked 7 times. So it seems to me requires much more bishul and sham. The question is this basha. So it seems that they're quite more difficult to cook, not easier to cook. Fil bishul tea is by Rasim Shin Yud Ches. Tea will be coming up. But basically we just said to put up a samovar and urn right before nightfall. It seems that also because maybe you're going to rake the coals. Both the Shulchan Shabbos had Chinese love when you take the kettle up from on top of it, and if it was cold before Shabbos, and they put it back on the samovar and the urn underneath it, I guess. Havi bishul gomer is complete bishul, of course, but our urns which are electric and you can't speed them up, there would be more room to be lenient, assuming that there aren't multiple settings. Siman Reish Nun Hey. How to prepare fire before Shabbos begins. Just like we explained that Chazal were afraid with food which you put up to cook just before nightfall. They might make a decree unless you come to rake the coals. So to them, they when you make a bonfire right before nightfall. So the enemy is that, and they can't get benefit from this. Unless you lit it during the daytime, in a way in which it's fully ignited without any further assistance, the fire can burn out so. You can't make a fire from wood immediately before nightfall, or until they're ignited with sufficient fire. But any other manner, that the flame comes up on its own. Without putting in any other wood. You if it's a specific single log, so the fire has to take hold of most of its width, on the inside, most of its circumference, on the outside. If it was not lit that much before Shabbos, you can't use it on Shabbos, even they shave it, so let's say sit by it and warm yourself, or use its light. because you might come to rake the coals in order to make it ignite betov better. And you're going to rake the coals. You need to move the wood for the flame to become brighter, larger. And even then later on it comes fully ignited, but it's after Shabbos began, also it's forbidden. Just like by food, we forbid it in when the cook is complete, avoiding conflict to here. Was lit sufficiently for nightfall. Using them as much as you want. The other two warn yourself opposite of Shabbos, whether to use its light. Whether it's on the ground, whether it's on top of a candelabrum. Even things cannot be used as wicks for Shabbos. When she's brought up simulation, some of that which is going to be explained later on. Still, you can use that bonfire. That's because because they were afraid you might come to incline the wick. Since it's a candle. But a bonfire which has live light, we're not concerned with inclining the bonfire, so to speak. Base. Yesh remember those saying nevertheless we sip on the fire. You shouldn't sit next to the flaming logs. They're going to touch him or turn him over. So they should burn better. Like people do. Those are arguing this. The dafkali and limud, specifically when you're coming to learn by the light of a candle. We require now a lot of engagement. There, we're afraid because you're going to get so engaged in learning, you're going to forget and do it. But it's not a place where they're in depth. Just warming yourself up. We don't find such a decree. If the flame is not fully lit on its own, sometimes because her flame might go out altogether. Because she's like but as long as no sphere is going to go out together, too low, there's no further concern. Kain, Nira, Ikar, and that seems to be the primary halacha.